loves, this is me again, and I guess today we're gonna talk about, I have a question actually. This ought to take some time to answer. You know, Columbus Day's in October, and I know how much you hate this dude. So I must ask you a question. First off, I'm going to answer it myself before I ask you. Now, what would you do? Now, what would I do in this day and age, knowing everything I know now? What would I do if Christopher Columbus were to rise up from the dead and reemerge, and dressed the way he was, and he made his way to every place he was before? I would first extend my hand, not to shake it, but to rip it clean off his arm, and then shove it down his throat, especially since I know more than I did before. I thought he was some dude, sailing 3 boats, discovering a country, scared, alone, and all that mess. The same thing everybody else thought about Christopher Columbus. But then I got older, I find out about this holiday. This holiday where the government, it basically shuts down every year, but for Columbus Day, and not because there's no money in the treasury, even though that's debatable. That holiday is useless, completely and utterly useless, because all that happens is, well, the local governments don't. There are no court dates, nobody delivers mail. Maybe the buses might run funny, but it's it's like your appendix. You don't need it. And it's because of Columbus Day that Russell asked the question about. He directed it toward my people. The African Americans. He wanted to know why we weren't there supporting his efforts to kill Columbus Holiday. And these vlogs should answer that. Every last one of them. I'm here to support Native Americans, even if it means shutting down Columbus Day. Because it's like celebrating the fact that there's a rock on the ground. You know what I'm saying? So my question to you is, what would you do if you saw Columbus walking down the street the way he would have in 1492? What would you do with all the knowledge you've gotten? What would you do? Would you, number one, take his weapons and use them on him? Number two, just forgive him and shake his hand, but tell him to leave the country and that you got control now? 3, or would you kill him right off the bat? 4, chop his head off? 5, pour gasoline on him and set him on fire? 6, make him your personal slave on any reservation in this country? And 7, sit him down and explain exactly what he did, how it affected you personally to this day. Would you explain to him what historical trauma is, which we all have, everyone but white people? Straight white people are the only people without that historical trauma. Would you explain how 200 years after that they had worst Thanksgiving ever, and the Pilgrims who were fleeing religious persecution came along, and they sat down to eat with the Native Americans. Then they flipped the script and started slaughtering. You got your ancestors started colonizing, building whatever. Would you explain to him what it's done to your economic situation? Would you explain to him why he was wrong? Would you give him a chance to justify what he did? Or would you just kill him? Simply, or just beat the shit out of him? Well, and 8, how would you get him out of the country? Boat, plane, train? Or just tell him to swim? Or send him back on his boat and then blow it to pieces when it leaves the harbor? What would you do? Christopher Columbus, I have learned over the years, has become a menace of historical proportions, a menace to this day. And it's a shame that turkeys are eaten because of him and the Pilgrims. The Pilgrims, yeah, they wanted a better life, but they did it at your expense. And they came over on the Mayflower. And you know, there are living descendants of those people, living descendants of the Pilgrims. Find out who they are and talk to them about this. Like the Mayflower Madam. Everyone's heard of her, right? She's some kind of prostitute. She is a descendant of somebody on the Mayflower. So talk to them, explain things, because you know they're down with the new stuff now. They're not like their ancestors. Thank God. One day one of you will be president. Make sure those treaties are upheld before they get too old. And you'll have your land back. By winning the presidency, you will have effectively gotten all your land back. Something to think about. Comment write in the comment, answer in the comment section below. I'm a little hungry, that's why I'm stumbling in my words, though I mean every bit of them. Comment on what you would do if you saw Christopher Columbus today, knowing everything you know, having the power you have. What would you do? And since I cannot say goodbye in Apache, I'll just say goodbye.